You see, we're also running caltrops down here at the bottom. This is going to allow you to freeze and just kind of slow apply the chill and freeze effects to any sort of elite enemies that have a little bit more health, that are a little bit more difficult to kill, so you can kind of help kite them back. You'll also be using things like you could be using smoke grenades, you could be using your Dark Shroud, you'll be using a dash, and that's going to proc something called Danse Macabre, which we will talk about here in a bit, which will basically beef up your next rain of arrows. And those are also just going to help you kind of traverse around the map, add some mobility to your kit for quicker clear speeds as well. So with that being said, you guys have kind of seen a little bit of gameplay. Let's go ahead and jump into the guide. If you do want to follow along, please click the link in the description of the video and it'll take you out to our website. Okay, so here's what our talent tree is going to look like. You can see that we are taking Heartseeker, we're taking Enhanced Heartseeker, as well as Fundamental Heartseeker. So the whole reason that we're running Heartseeker is due to precision down here. Basically, it's a stacking effect, and at the end of those stacks, you will consume all 3 stacks of precision, and your next ability will basically do more damage. And this kind of scales and synergizes with Critical Strike. So every 3 stacks of this, you're going to get a very beefed up rain of arrows, essentially. Now, the way that we're actually getting the reset on this is going to be through our specialization here at Preparation. Spend 75 energy to reset your ultimate skills cooldown by 5 seconds. So Rain of Arrows is considered an ultimate, and every 75 energy that we spend, we're getting CDR on it. Now, the question is Heartseeker doesn't use energy. So how are we spending energy through Heartseeker to be able to proc Preparation? So that will come from the Shard of Varathiel here, which we will discuss on how to get that here in a bit. But if we look at the bottom here, the unique effect, basic skills deal X% increased damage, but additionally cost 25 primary resource. So this turns your Heartseeker into a primary resource spender. So that's kind of the gameplay loop between these 3, which is very important to understand, because it's very important to understand how we get resets on our Rain of Arrows. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit and look at caltrops and our dash. So caltrops are going to kind of help us handle the elite mobs that are a little bit more difficult to take down. So they're going to apply a slow effect. And this is also going to apply a modifier that makes them take increased damage from us as well. So it's going to kind of beef up your Rain of Arrow damage. We're taking Enhanced Caltrops. That's where that increased damage effect comes from. And then Methodical Caltrops. This is going to add the chill effect. Now, the chill effect is very important for us if we go back to our guide here. And it's important due to this effect right here, Beast in the Ice of Sleep. This is one of the rare boss powers in Season 8. After casting 3 skills which apply crowd control or stagger effects, shoot out sleep spikes that deal X amount of cold damage and freeze the enemies for 2 seconds. So your caltrops are going to help us apply this. Now, directly below our caltrops, we're taking Weapon Mastery, we're taking Unstable Elixirs, Trick Attacks, and Baelstra. And these are just simply going to be damage modifiers. They're going to help us do a little bit more damage. Nothing too special there. We're also running Dash. We're just putting 1 point into Dash. We're not taking any of the additional nodes coming off of it. This is just going to kind of help you traverse around the map a little bit better. And this is also going to help us proc something called Danse Macabre. Now, Danse Macabre here is a legendary node, and this is something that you will actually find in our Paragon tree. But after casting a mobility or a subterfuge skill, increase the damage of your next skill by 75%. So what you want to do is you kind of want to weave these in and out of your rain and arrows. So you can see we have a bunch of different things that can proc this. Our dash can proc it, our smoke grenade, our shroud can proc it as well. So what you want to try to do is queue up one of these abilities before you rain of arrows. Now, it's very important that you use one of these abilities and immediately follow it up with the Rain of Arrows. If you dash and just, for example, say you caltrops, you're going to lose this damage effect, right? You'll be funneling this into your caltrops instead of your Rain of Arrows, which is not good, or at least it's not ideal. Now, scrolling down in our tree, you can see that we're taking Smoke Grenade, Malice, as well as Exploit. And Malice is going to make us do more damage to vulnerable enemies. Now, that's one thing I do want to discuss that we haven't talked about yet is how are we applying vulnerable. So a lot of people are taking concealment over Dark Shroud, which you can do through subverting concealment. But another way that we apply vulnerable in this specific build is going to be through enhanced cold imbuement. So our cold imbued spells have a 40% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. So our cold imbuement can apply vulnerable for us. And we'll talk about how we're applying these imbuements here in just a minute. We also have shadow imbuement. Shadow imbuement, imbue your weapons. Basically, we're just adding this imbuement for more damage, essentially. You can see right here, we get a 15% increased critical strike modifier, and then we also get a 12% non-physical damage modifier. So basically, Cold Imbuement does the chill effect and vulnerable, and then Shadow Imbuement is going to give us a modifier for crit and non-physical damage. So let's talk about how we're applying that. So we're actually going to be applying these imbuements through our Rain of Arrows. If we go down to Prime Rain of Arrows, we can see imbuement skill effects applied by Rain of Arrows have 50% increased potency. So the potency that we're getting from these imbuements are going to be 50% stronger, but this doesn't actually say how we're applying that Rain of Arrows. We know that we're applying it through Rain of Arrows, but how is that happening? So that is actually going to be applied through our Word of Hakan. If we look at the unique effect here, your Rain of Arrows is always imbued with all imbuements and receives your Arrow Storm benefits. So Arrow Storms is a unique aspect that we'll be running. We'll talk about aspects here in just a moment, but this is what that is. Your Marksman and Cutthroat skills have a 25% chance to create an Arrow Storm at the enemy's location, dealing damage. So what makes this really strong is all those benefits that are going to your Arrow Storm are also going to be applied to your Rain of Arrows, which just makes it even stronger. So if we go back to this, Arrow Storms deals 45 to 65% increased damage. That is applied to your Rain of Arrows. Okay, let's go ahead and quickly talk about some of the other aspects while we're on the topic of aspects. So we already talked about aspect of Arrow Storms. That's actually a pretty easy one to get. You can get it from the Howling Warren and Skosland. We also have Vengeful Aspect here, which also comes from a dungeon as well. So we are funneling a lot of damage into Vulnerable. So damaging a vulnerable enemy has a 25% chance to create an Arrow Storm at the enemy's location, dealing damage. So basically the same thing as aspect of Arrow Storms, but we have even more opportunities to proc it by damaging a vulnerable enemy. We have Umbrous Aspect here. Critical strikes have a chance to grant us a free Dark Shroud Shadow. We also have Aspect of the Fury here, and this is just going to be a random drop. Again, we have a how to get section on all these, most of these. Everything else is going to be through random drop or by gambling obols. So keep that in mind. And basically this is going to be after we cast an ultimate skill, which is our Rain of Arrows, we basically get this stacking effect of ultimate damage, stacks up to 10 times. So more damage that we can funnel into our Rain of Arrows. We also have Aspect of Nebulous Bruise. This is going to give us more refills on our healing potion. It's also going to help with mobility since we can use it at full life for additional movement speed. So very nice. We have Conceited Aspect here. You deal increased damage while you have a barrier active. So we have not talked about that yet. Let's go ahead and go to... actually, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and go through this last one here. Vehement Brawler's Aspect. Casting an ultimate skill increases your damage for 8 seconds. Gain 2 additional ultimate skill ranks. So just more damage funneled into our Rain of Arrows. So since we will have a pretty decent barrier, we're able to basically proc this Neo rune. So you see here, avoid health damage while fighting for 2 seconds. So if you're taking barrier damage instead of health damage, this will proc for us. And that plus the QAX rune is going to allow us to do these short successive bursts of damage. So Neo will be able to fill our offering. And then once we get to 400 offering, we're going to be proccing this and we're going to be doing a whole bunch of burst damage with like a big Rain of Arrow burst. So this kind of fits sort of like a kiting playstyle, which is really good for this build. You're able to kind of keep your distance and just proc this over and over again. So I highly recommend to get some sort of barrier generation, maybe on some boots or something, to where you're not taking as much health damage. I'm also seeing that I have the wrong Dark Shroud tooltip on here, so I will fix that before I release the guide. Just something else that I just kind of caught scrolling through here. So here is our Paragon board. We do have about 67 unused points. You can kind of put where you want freely, but this is going to be sort of the core board here. So this is the starting board that we're looking at, position 1, and you can see that we are running the control glyph. So this is basically going to beef up our crowd control damage, or the damage that we're doing to crowd control targets. Again, where the caltrops come into this build. And then as well as the ice imbuement that we're running. Directly above that, we're running Tricks of the Trade board. And then we are running the Headhunter glyph. So this is going to allow us to do a little bit more damage to elites. Directly to the right of this, we will be running the Deadly Ambush board with the Versatility rune here in the center of the board. This is going to be beefing up our Rain of Arrows damage as well as our Heartseeker damage. On the far left-hand side, we are on the Combat board and we are running No Witnesses. So No Witnesses, your ultimate skills gain 20% additional damage from your damage with ultimate bonus, and grant this bonus to all skills for 10 seconds when cast. So again, since Rain of Arrows is an ultimate skill, we're going to be beefing that up. And then finally here at the bottom, we are on the Devious board. And then this is the Danse Macabre that we were talking about earlier. We're going to be weaving in those mobility and subterfuge skills. Again, right before we cast Rain of Arrows. Okay, and then the final thing I'm going to talk about is some of the uniques that we're running and how to get them. So we have Cal of the Nameless, we have the Shroud of False Death, Sky Hunter, Shard of Varathiel, and then Word of Hakan. And directly under that, there's a guide on how to get all these. But really, for the most part, just know, like, under Sky Hunter here, for example, just know you have to kill Varshan to get this. So one of the reasons we're going to be running Cal the Nameless is because this directly impacts one of the boss powers down here, and that is going to be Flesh Reaper's Disruption. So Cal the Nameless is going to give us that crowd control duration increase, so it's going to be easier to keep this debuff up. You see on the modifier here, for each 1% crowd control duration bonus you have, up to 20%, we're going to be doing a 5% increase vulnerable damage. We also have Shroud of False Death, and it's been OP for a very long time. It's still strong here in this season. Going to give us a lot of max health, but really the main pro to this is the fact that you enter stealth and you just are very fast, and you're going to do a whole bunch of burst damage when you do come out of stealth for the first time. And then +1 to all passives is super OP as well, so probably the main thing that you need to focus on. This is what I would craft first. And of course, Shroud of False Death will drop from these two bosses here, or you can craft it as well. We're also running Sky Hunter here, which we've not talked about yet, and this will work directly with the precision that we're running. So whenever we consume those precision stacks, the next skill that you cast is going to do a whole bunch more damage, and you're going to get a burst of energy as well. You can see you get a chance for marksman projectiles to cast twice, which is insane. You get critical strike damage, which we're stacking in this build. We get attack speed, which is going to allow us to shoot more Heartseekers. Just everything is really good about this bow. And you can get this from Varshan. Another thing that you want to be farming from Varshan is the Shard of Varathiel, which we've already talked about. It's going to turn your Heartseeker into a primary resource spender, which of course is important for preparation to get resets on your Rain of Arrows. And then finally, the Word of Hakan, and this will drop from a Gregor. All right, guys, I think I pretty much covered everything. Again, if you want to check out this guide, just click the link in the description below. It will read you through pretty much everything. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please consider, liking, subscribing, commenting. Anything helps the algorithm. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.